because we never talked about it in my family when I was growing up. I'd seen what was happening, but we didn't talk about it. And so what happened about 4 years ago, I saw my aunt, who was my godmother. She helped raise me along with my mother, and she started losing her memory. And it really impacted me more than anybody else in my family that I saw experiencing it. Because I thought, oh, this is just when you're dying, because my grandmother had some form of dementia when she died. My older aunts, my grandmother's sisters, they had some form of dementia. Again, we didn't know. So I did a short film called That's My Brother, because my aunt was calling her daughter her sister. And so I said, I got to tell a piece of their story as a way for me to deal with my emotions. So I did this short film and I posted it and I said, I dedicate this film to my aunt who's living with dementia. And somebody said, what type of dementia? And I said, what do you mean? Dementia, dementia. I said dementia. And they said, no, there's over 100 types of dementia. And I was like, what? Just like some of you did. And so that started my quest to learn more about this thing that was impacting my family that I had no answers for. I like to tell people, I know a little bit about a lot. I don't know a lot about nothing, but I know a little bit about a lot. And for me not to know anything about dementia, even though I had seen it for years in my family, I felt dumb, and I don't like that feeling. So I said, let me find out more so I can help my family. So I started researching. I started looking up stuff on the internet. I started researching people at universities. And then I said, you know what? There's so much information. How can I share this information with others? So I did a documentary and I shared those things, some of the warning signs, some of the risk factors, some of the things that caregivers go through, all of those statistics that we didn't hear about that we needed to hear about. And I'll tell you a little bit about the caregiver statistic that'll probably shock you as well. And that statistic is this, that nearly 50% of caregivers die before the person they're caring for. That's a scary thought. And the main reason is because we put others before ourselves, right? We don't take time to celebrate ourselves or take time to enjoy things when we're caring for someone, especially with dementia, because it is such a taxing thing. Well, we want to make sure that we recognize caregivers, because I saw in my family that those who were caring for my loved ones with dementia, they weren't taking care of themselves. And some of them ended up developing dementia because of stress, not eating right, not exercising, not taking their medications, not doing all of those things that we know we need to do, that for some reason we do it less when we're caring for others, because we say, we got to take care of them. You're no good for them if you don't take care of yourself. So I did this documentary. I started taking it around. First, I had the idea to do it in 3 cities. I took it to some film festivals, won some awards, and then it became an international thing. It screened in London, it screened in Africa, it won some awards in India. So it's been all over the world, because it's a different way of presenting this thing that we don't talk about. And so from that, I formed ExposeDementia Incorporated, which is our nonprofit organization. That organization is designed to create ways of us getting this information that we don't normally get it. So some people will read a book, right? So I wrote a book. Some people won't read a book, but they'll watch a film. Some people might not watch a film, but they'll listen to a podcast. So we want to be able to create all of these other opportunities to expose dementia. It can't be a secret anymore, because why? It's affecting Black people at twice the rate of anybody else. The Latino community, 1.5 times more than whites. So these things are hitting our communities, and the numbers are expected to triple by 2050. That's a scary thought, right? So we just want to be able to do our part while we celebrate the caregivers and continue to educate, because a lot of caregivers don't have all the information that they need to be able to properly care for their loved one. And so we want to do that. So I mentioned the book. I'm holding 3 books right here. This first one is the book that I wrote. It basically took a lot of the information from the documentary, and it's called Exposing Dementia, 8 Critical Takeaways for African Americans. So you can take out African Americans and you can put Black, because no matter where you are in the world, you're at a higher risk because of our background, our DNA makeup. And so we want to make sure that people get the information that's there. Then there's an organization called All's Authors, which is Alzheimer's Authors. And they put together this collection of poems to be able to share their stories about caregiving, about what they've learned through the process to be able to help other people. And so we have a couple of these anthologies as well. And then ExposeDementia created an anthology of caregivers sharing their stories as well. And it's called I Care. Dementia Care Partners Speak on Their Journey. So these are 3 books of many that are available, but we want to be able to help share this information in any platform. And so we have a few books that we're going to be giving away. So if you didn't sign up, please do that, because your name will be put into the raffle that you will be able to possibly receive a book. All right. So for the caregivers here, we have a survey that we're doing. And this is being done in conjunction with ExposeDementia, as well as the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. And what we're doing is we're speaking to 500 caregivers about their journey. What was it like when your loved one was diagnosed? Or if you yourself was diagnosed, you can tell us what your experience was. The purpose of this study is a completely anonymous study. There's a link. You just go online, you answer the questions, and you're done. What this allows us to do, it helps us to know what the common experiences are and how we can make changes. So, for example, we don't typically get the same information as white people when they go to a doctor, especially with dementia. We often hear, now I'm not saying this is everywhere and everybody, but we often hear, oh, we'll wait till later, or we'll wait till it gets worse, or you're okay right now, as opposed to let's figure out what's going on. How can we stop this? How can we slow this down? How can we do something? Or there's a lot of racism that we experience just in terms of how we're communicated with. So part of our goal is to create information, resources that will help us in the early stages so that we can help care for our loved one better, help to know what the journey is about, because most people don't know. Here's an example of that. They told my cousin that my aunt just had dementia. I tell people anytime they say you have dementia, your next question should be, what type? Because they can treat you for symptoms and it's not really doing anything. So my aunt she just passed away in July. She had Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. We had never heard of this, but it was a combination of alcoholism and vitamin B deficiency. So she was drinking a lot and she wasn't taking care of her body. She wasn't getting her nutrients. She wasn't eating right, all of those things. And that's what caused her dementia. Most people know of Alzheimer's. Maybe you know of Lewy body dementia, frontotemporal dementia, vascular dementia. Those are the top 4. But as I said, there are more than 100. So there's a lot of information out there that we're not getting. And so that's why we're being creative, to be able to get the information to you. So that's enough for that right now. I wanted to share a piece of my story because I want to hear your stories as well. So we'll have time at the end for you to ask questions, share your experiences, or whatever it is that you feel on your heart about this. Maybe you see something in one of these 2 films that you say, hey, I resonate with this. Let me ask a question here, or let me get more information. That's why we're here. And that's why Dr. Raymond is here as well. We want to be able to make sure you have the resources that you need in this journey. Any questions at this point? You got your popcorn? You ready to see these films? All right. I'm going to bring up my producer partner, Nay Lewis Stubbs, just so she can say, she's looking at me like, no. Yes, right now, please. So as I mentioned, we're going to see two short films. One is 13 minutes and the other one is 15 minutes, I believe. And I wrote Papa's song, which she also stars in. I had to pull her out of retirement, so thank you. And then she wrote Line. And so...
Hello to the people. And just so you know, purple is my favorite color, and I was told it was Dementia's favorite color as well. So this is not my party, for the record. I just really love purple. And if you just came in, if you want to come and partake in the water and what's left of the popcorn, because you can't have a movie without popcorn, right? Right. And some water, please feel free. Or if you want to raise your hand, I'll bring it to you. Oh, we got hands. Okay.
So we're going to see them back to back, okay? So again, 15 minutes and 13 minutes, so it's not very long, but you'll see some stories in there that maybe, you'll recognize yourself or family member, a loved one. And then once they're done, we'll come back, we'll hear your feedback, we'll hear your questions, and anything that we can do to help in this journey, we will. Okay? We want to be able to connect you because we're from the States, so we're not here, but you have someone right here in your midst that can help you all the time. But there's general information that we can share that's worldwide as well, because it's good to see perspective, right? But I will tell you this, and then we'll get started with the film. Because I said I don't talk that much, didn't I? We want to make sure that you understand two things. If you saw somebody or you know somebody with dementia, you know somebody with dementia. You don't know everybody's journey because everybody's journey is different. So you can't put it all into one basket and say, oh, if they have dementia, this is what it is. This is how they're going to act. This is what's going to happen. They're going to lose their memory. It's not the same for everybody. The second thing is, if you are a caregiver and you know a caregiver, you know yourself and you know that caregiver. They're not all the same. Everybody's journey is different. That's why it's important for us to love on one another, share this information to help you along in your journey, okay? And here's the other thing, to tie that all together, even if it's individual, you know a person with dementia, you know that one person with dementia, caregiver. However, we're not in this journey alone. We're all in this together. No matter where you are in this stage, whether you've just been diagnosed yourself, you've been caring for somebody for 10 years, whatever it is, because oftentimes as caregivers in particular, you feel like you're doing it by yourself. You might have 10 siblings and why am I the only one doing this? But even in that situation, you're not alone. You have people just like in this room right now, okay? All right, so we're gonna just start with Papa's song and then followed by Line. And then we'll come back afterwards to answer any questions.
Look, ain't nobody better. Tell me who really next. Came from the cold with the heart and the check. They talking gold, but they don't got the steps. I stand on my name, I ain't folding for respect. Ain't nobody better, yeah, nobody better. Pressure on me make the diamonds wetter. Say they the greatest, is now or never. Look at the score, ain't nobody better. Raise where the winners make killers fall. Dreams on my back, had my back to the wall. They had the hype, I had none at all. Turn every loss to a brick in the wall. They rap about it, I lived every line. Painting my voice, you can hear it in time. They had a cosign, I bet on my grind. Now they inbox asking, bro, you got time? I seen legends, I studied the grace. Respect to the crown, but I'm raising stakes. They had a moment, I mastered the game. Different areas, still speaking my name.
Hey, Papa. You having a good day?
Mm-hmm.
Is Tony getting on your nerves? I bet he is. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
You look good today.
I do.
You sure do. I'm gonna go in here and see what Tony's burning in the kitchen.
Turn it up one time, one time. From the block to the skyline.
Do I need to call the fire department?
Woke up to the sun, gold gleaming on the curb.
Shut up, hater. Oh my goodness. You know I got skills here in this here kitchen.
Whatever. What are you making anyway?
My world famous spaghetto.
What? Spaghetto?
It's my version of spaghetti. You want to hear my slogan?
I'm gonna hear it anyway.
It's not what's in it. It's what's not.
Stupid.
You just gotta try it.
It's not gonna happen.
You're lost. I still don't understand why you got all these binders. He ain't painting no masterpiece.
It's not about that. It's more about the connection. Music, dance, art. It all taps into the memory differently. Look, remember this?
That is vintage right there. You couldn't tell Pops none back in those days.
Nothing.
Mr. Smooth Gospel of Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the plan? You gonna hypnotize him with Mahalia Jackson?
Hypnotizing him with Mahalia Jackson is crazy. You always got jokes. Don't sleep on the arts. You know good and well that it has saved the both of us many a times.
I'm saying, if he start dancing, I'm posting him.
You better not.
And then.
And you won't. It's horrible. What?
What?
What's wrong?
I know I'm silly sometimes.
Silly sometimes. You okay?
I'm being serious, niece.
I'm sorry.
You know how they say there's truth in jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Truth is, I'm scared, sis.
Scared of what?
Losing Dad. Losing myself. What happened to the man who was always on the go? Who would captivate people in the barbershop with stories about how he was supposed to be the first black president?
When they finally elected a black president, I stood in my living room and I cried. Not just for him, but for me too. And for all the dreams that I had tucked away inside like old letters stuffed in a drawer, I clapped for him, proud and wounded. You see, it's a funny thing about history. They remember some and they forget others. Oh, but I remember everything. I remember every footstep. I remember every door shut in my face and every maybe next time. You see, as a boy, the only president I ever saw was a white man smiling through the TV, shaking hands with other white men, signing papers and making promises that I knew weren't meant for folks who look like me. They used to say, son, you can be whatever you want. But I always knew that there was this invisible line drawn in the sand that wasn't meant for folk like me to cross. But I crossed it. Yeah. I crossed it with every book that I read, every speech that I made, and every late night spent organizing. I knocked on every door for every vote that I helped register. I paid my dues. I did the work and I played the long game. I shook all the right hands that mattered and I learned the rules, but still, every time I looked in the mirror, I'd see the face of a president. But since I never thought that it would happen in my lifetime, I continued to write and sing of hope. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe. I believe that I should have been the first Black president.
How he loved fishing and the pride he felt when he would bring fish home for Mom to cook.
There ain't nothing more thrilling than reeling in a big catch. Well, except maybe the look on your mother's face. I mean, I would come home with an arm full of fish and a dream of a gourmet meal. But every time she would see me with those slimy critters, she would start negotiating menu items like a hostage negotiator. I'd say, honey, I catch them and you cook them. And she would respond, yeah, that's great. I'm going to call for a pizza. Now, if fishing was my sport, then avoiding cooking fish was hers. And believe me, she was the reigning champion.
How he loved to sing and dance and would eat any and everything that was on a plate or napkin in front of him. It's like the fire's burned out. Dad's still here, but it's like he's gone too. I miss him.
I know.
I miss me too. All I do is cook, clean, take Papa to appointments, try to convince him that I'm his son and I'm not going to hurt him. I never go out with the fellas anymore. I don't go to the gym in my love life. What is that? And you know that ain't me, sis.
Yes, I know.
And what makes it worse, I look in the mirror and I don't see myself anymore. I see Dad, the young, vibrant one. I look in that mirror and I cry because it's like I don't see any vibrance in his life or mine anymore. I'm hurting, sis. Bad.
I'm sorry. I get it though. I really, really do. Because I'm hurting too. I know you're always on me about attending these webinars and these workshops and all these conferences, but I have to. I do it for me and you and Papa so that we know what we're up against. And the little support groups that you say are so corny.
Whack.
Yes, but they help too. I mean, they don't change the way that I feel, but they help me deal with the pain. Like when I want to hear him call me baby girl or stroke my cheek and tell me that he loves me. I miss all of that. I want to hear him sing and warm the whole room with his energy like he used to. You know, when I went to this ExposeDementia conference, I learned that what you and I are going through is something called anticipatory loss or ambiguous loss. And it basically is the emotional response to someone dying before the loss actually happens. There was a musical therapist there by the name of Dr. Kendra Ray. And she said, wait, I don't want to get it wrong because I love the quote so much. She said, music is the rhythm of life that moves us no matter where we are. Even if your head forgets, your heart never does. That's dope, right?
Yeah.
I love that
Wow.
quote. But she also suggested that we start playing music that Dad used to love, even the stuff that he wrote. And I'm sitting there like, duh. Why didn't we think of that? Right?
Yeah.
Especially because I'm sure he doesn't want to hear your hip hop music all day.
Now, wait a minute.
Pew, pew. Shots fired.
Shots fired.
His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches over me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me.
Sing, Papa.
I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free.
I hear you.
And I know he watches me. He watches me. His eye. I need you to be better, stronger, love deeper, laugh longer. Keep your faith when times are hard, remembering who you are. Don't rush the race, just run the truth. Let kindness be the God in you. The world may change, but love stays real. Hold your permission to feel. I'll hold that right there. And then I'll go. I think I got it. Let me try it. I need you to be better, stronger, love deeper, love longer. Keep your faith when times are hard, remembering who you are. Don't rush the race, just run it true. Let kindness be the God in you. The world may change, but love stays real. Hold your permission to feel, and you'll be sure to see better days. I know you'll be sure to see better days.
Come on, ladies and gentlemen, one more time. Let's give it up.
I used to believe that love had clear lines, beginnings, middles, and ends, like a script, like theater. We've spent a good bit of our lives at tables like this one, scripts open, coffee cooling beside us, rehearsing lines to plant on our theater hearts. Till one day, what our hearts knew was no longer enough, and what was once known begins to fade. Lately, the fading has been the only consistent part of our days. And yet, I still look forward to each day that grace grants me with him. Even the days he stares at a script waiting for the words to recognize him. Days when he walks into the room that used to belong to him, as he borrows pieces of himself from those that know and love him. Days when mornings feel like nights, and todays feel like yesterdays. Days when he drops a memory and hears it shatter somewhere he can't reach. Days when he asks the same questions again and again and again, as if the answer keeps slipping from the grips of his mind. Days when he feels abandoned after a thought exits the room without saying goodbye. Days when his confidence disappears and he searches my face for forgiveness while his eyes cry for help. On those days, I remind him softly but surely that he is loved, he is safe, that he is still here, and so am I. Jackie came by yesterday. She's the one that encouraged me to start journaling this new journey. And so, here we are. Dear Dementia Diary, today, I want to thank yesterday for all that it gave me to face tomorrow. Cliff had a rough start yesterday morning, and as always, Jackie showed up at just the right time. Her showing up is always so helpful. For me, anyway. The two of them started out having their usual banter for breakfast. He calls me E and Jackie J. Get it? He says, well, it's too early for this old man to have his E and J's, so I'm gonna go out back to see what the squirrels and birds are talking about. Yeah, that's my Cliff. As a writer and director, Jackie's been directing our lives longer than she'll ever admit. Introduced us, cast us, believed in us before we believed in each other. She's always said that when Cliff and I hit the stage together, the magic could never deny us. Truth is, I could not stand Cliff when I first met him. Loud, obnoxious, always joking. Ugh! But once I saw him work, once I realized I had just met the male version of me, strong, intentional, passionate, and actually much funnier than I expected, I didn't just fall in love with the man. I fell in love with his gift, and we've been inseparable ever since. That is, until dementia started interrupting our scenes, taking him on trips that I have to sometimes bring him back from with a strong whisper. I keep telling him, the least you can do is bring me back a souvenir when you take these trips without me. Yesterday, I found myself sharing some of the more humorous parts of this journey with Jackie. And then a wave of guilt came over me. humor. There's nothing funny about watching the love of your life disappear in pieces. Especially when I don't always have someone to help me pick up those pieces. To help me put him back together again. His mood swings come in like a flashing flood. Frustration blows in like a furious wind without warning. At times, I fear of the day that I may not be able to handle the elements of this storm anymore. At his most recent appointment, the doctor spoke of a truth that shook us deeply. That eventually his voice may be silenced, his steps may be stolen, and the ability to control the simple necessities of life may be lost. Dementia may not only steal his memory, but also his dignity. In our own moment of processing, he expressed that if he can't be remembered for who he is versus who he was, he doesn't want to be here anymore. That is the scariest thing I have ever heard in my life. I'm scared. There, I said it. I am scared. I feel so ashamed to say that to myself, let alone to someone else for help. I did tell Jackie the other day while we sat on the kitchen floor, and she said, "Ashamed? No, honey, loving someone through a storm like this is a rare kind of brave, a brave that has no room for shame. Every day you choose him again, in the meals, in the reminders, in the nights that don't let you sleep. That choice, that love is sacred. No room for shame." Girl, you've given that man a love story that outlives the lights and the standing ovation. Even I couldn't have written a better love story. Then we just sat for a while laughing, crying, and plotting how we were going to get up off that floor. Theater is what we know, love, and do best. And so I thought creating some cues from familiar stage practices could help us navigate some of the expected dementia challenges. Things like when he feels lost in thought or conversation, I told him we'd use the word line, just like on stage. It isn't a failure. It's a gentle reminder, a cue to pause, reset, and keep going. He laughed at the idea and said, "Oh, now we ain't gotta do all that." So, we shall see. The other day we ran lines for an upcoming show. Cliff flowed through it like the pro I fell in love with. And then he got stuck. So stuck that it scared the both of us. All I could imagine was him sitting in an unfamiliar space, all alone and afraid, apologizing for having dementia and being too much and not enough at the same time, telling me I deserve a better life, telling me to leave him there. But I can't. And I won't. And I will continue to remind him, I got you. I got you, baby. I got you. And this time, he returned with the word that may very well become our way of escape from these moments. Line. That's how our love works, both on and off stage. Not perfectly, not easily, but faithfully. And as long as I can still feed him his line, I'll stay on this stage of life with him. Every performance, every scene, line by line, until the final curtain falls. Line by line, we'll write it all again. Every scene where only our two hearts have been. If the script fades, I'll shield you from the shame. When the curtain falls, our love will stay the same. Line by line, we'll always share, going where no one else will dare, even when it feels too hard for us to bear. Please remember, I've got you, and I'll be with you. Line by line.
All right. What'd you guys think? Thank you. Thank you. So again, this is our creativity coming into play to be able to help. Some of you, I recognize a couple of faces, I think, might recognize the gentleman that's in both films. He was the lead actor in our play God Guys that we did this weekend at the Phillipsburg Cultural Center. Yeah, I thought I saw a couple people. We appreciate your support of that as well. But that play was about mental wellness in Black men. And so we extend that through all that we do to have impact with arts. And this is an extension of that. So any questions, any thoughts, any feedback? Did anybody learn anything? Okay, that's a good start. All right. Did anybody recognize themselves or their loved one in the characters that you saw on the screen? Something that they said or did? Do you mind sharing? Yes, sir.
What type of dementia you call this second part in the movie? Well, I know certain like people go from the dementia like Alzheimer's, get very aggressive, and certain people like a husband and wife, the wife could control the husband very good. She could tell him sit here and he sits. He could get dressed, we going out and he do, and all that. So in that, with what type of dementia that moment?
So in line, you saw the Alzheimer's Association, maybe you saw it, their brochures. So we didn't specifically say that in either case what the type was. We wanted to really show the experience. However, the reason that I said before you need to ask what type is because they exhibit differently. So I'll give you a quick overview. The question, if you didn't hear the question, was what type were we depicting in these films? So we kind of stuck to themes of dementia. You know, you have memory loss, you have mood swings, you have different things that are pretty common through a lot of the types of dementia, but not all are like that. So I mentioned my aunt, for example. She did have memory problems because again, when you smoke and you drink and you know you do all those things, it kills those brain cells, right? And then it starts affecting your memory, things like that. Um, one of my cousins right now, she's probably 42, 43 years old. She has vascular dementia because of strokes. And so some of her symptoms are not identical to Alzheimer's. So they exhibit differently. So you'll have different things that will happen, loss of time, your thinking ability, losing words, your speech, depending on what those things are. And so if you don't find out what type, they might be treating you for something else. Instead of if they were treating my aunt for Alzheimer's, she would not have been getting the vitamin B that she was deficient in, or they wouldn't have been taking her away from the alcohol. She wasn't going to stop drinking ever. That was the last thing that she forgot, the drink. So we make light of it, just like we said in there. Sometimes you have to find the humor in it to make sure you're good, right? So my aunt, just a little quick story because this was recent, just a few weeks ago. On her obituary, there's a picture of her holding a bag. Nobody knows except for the family that this was a picture of her coming out of a bar with her liquor. And I'm looking at it thinking that she done took that liquor into heaven. You know, that's just me making light of it for my own emotional sake. So you have to find the humor in it for yourself. That's why you have to take breaks and things like that as well. So yeah, so it wasn't a specific one that we were targeting, more so of the symptoms and some of the experiences that are common within a lot of the types of dementia. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Yes, ma'am.
My husband is going through this, and I've been feeling guilty, and I feel frustrated sometimes because you should know that. You know, even this evening before we came, we put things away. And how many times I don't put the covers on the containers because then they won't fit. And it's like, okay, you know, and then I get angry after with myself because we never used to do this. So are you doing it now? You know, and it's the frustration of every day going through this. And everyone's, but he looks fine. Yes, he looks fine. Come live with him. You know, so
Thank you for sharing. That is very common. That's why I said you're not alone. No matter where you are in this journey, someone can relate to it. Someone is going through it. Even feeling guilty, that's okay. It's a part of the journey. We just don't want you to stay there because what happens then is depression kicks in. And now you're increasing your risk for dementia or something else. So we want to make sure that we're staying aware of where we are in the process and also where our loved one is in the process as well. So the more we can do this, you'll begin to see some things, hear some things. And I can say we were trying to do a sort of a simulation for you guys today so that people can understand some of the things that people with dementia go through with their visual perception, their hearing, their taste buds change, you know, depth of field, like all of these things that we take for granted if we haven't experienced it. Sometimes we need to understand where they are, and we're trying to like force them to understand where we are and what we understand. They might not be able to do it. They might not be able to see that carton of milk in the refrigerator and know it's a carton of milk. Or you might say, hey, did you take your medicine? And they're like, I don't have any medicine. It's like, it's right there. You're looking at it. They might not be able to identify it as medicine. So it's important for us to understand some of the journey that they're going through so that you can make sure that you see in them for who they are and you're living in their world as opposed to having them try to live in your world. Because they're no longer in that world.
getting into the person, and I think all of that wears down the caregiver because you have to be constantly remembering, hey, they don't understand. It's like, but I did it, so what's the problem? And then there are certain remarks that can be made. Oh, I'm just living one day at a time. Yeah. you know, it is. It is a true saying. But then at the point that you are at now, the living one day at a time is a bit frustrating on the other person. Like me, I'm the caregiver because you forgot what you needed to do a little while. So it really the position of the caregiver. I'm glad we're celebrating them because we tend to forget it takes a lot of pressure on the caregiver to take care of this person because you have to remember for them.
Thank you for sharing that. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I do take care, and not with family members. And I was taking care of a lady recently, and I come to the point when I said, take your medicine. She will tell me, I take it already. I said, no, you didn't. Well, leave it there because I'm not taking it. And I will look at her. I said, you're going to get sick, not me. And she said, I'm going to get sick. You're going to get sick. And she's dead serious. And then I look at her, but I didn't realize that was going on. And I look at her and I said, you're going to take your medicine today and today. And she will look back to me and sometimes she come in a calm way back and she said, where's my medicine? And I will say, look it here. But really inside of me hurt because sometimes I want to know if she's real or she just want to be disgusting. And then I will leave her a while and sometimes I will walk away. And when I come back, she's a different person. And then I'll cry. I'll cry because I said I was angry, but she don't know what she's doing. And then I start to fight them to take her to the doctor. Look after her. Something is going on. And it used to be hard. And I look at her and I said, when I get her age, will somebody have this patience with me? And then I get more soft with her, more soft. And if she says she's not going to bed, I leave her. I change her pamper. I do what I got to do. And one day I said to her, if you don't get up and bed, I'm going to put the hose on you. And that was the biggest laugh for her. And she laughed, she laughed, she laughed. And I just start laughing too. And then we done the game. When she wanted to bed, she said, bed. I said, okay. Even late in the afternoon, he said, you better want to bed. I said, let's go. If you don't eat, and like night, she's going to sleep. I said, you didn't eat nothing, you have to eat, drink something there. And she said, I don't want nothing. And as I put my head down, you better hungry, And then like 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, she'll be waking me up for something. And I said, yes. I said, okay, I won't answer you. And I leave her, but then I got to jump up because I said, if I was in her place, and I'll get up and I stay to her bed, and she said, don't leave me, don't leave me. I said, I'm not going anywhere. She said, yeah, you're going inside. I said, but I have to sleep tomorrow. I got to get up. And it's hard because sometimes you want to laugh with them, sometimes you want to cry, and sometimes you look at them and you wonder, where are they? They're not here. And it's tough. Your mind is like that. And to adjust to their mind, I think it's harder for us. And when she passed, I was like a light feather just dropped anywhere and let them sleep. Because it come like you just take everything out of you. So I understand, and I've been with several of them, but I didn't understand. Now you're saying it, now I understand, especially the last. But the last, just about 2 weeks, you realize what you realize just before she died.
Thank you so much for sharing. One of the things that I can say, can you close your ears, Bishop? Pastor, can you close your ears for a second? How many of you like to lie? Like to lie? Okay, you won't admit. Okay, couple people admit it, but okay. How about storytelling? Right? You like storytelling, right? Okay, use it. Because sometimes confrontation only escalates confrontation. So sometimes you have to storytell, become creative, do some role playing in order to get them to feel comfortable, as opposed to trying to force them, because nobody wants to be forced to do anything when we understand. So imagine when we don't understand and you're trying to force me. So be creative a little bit. Make the medicine about food. Make it about a game.
Realizing that, I'll go in front of her and I'll dance. and, I, and I said, you get up and dance too. Let's go. Whoop, whoop. And she will sit down there and she said, whoop, whoop. And then the story done.
Absolutely. So that's a part of what was in Papa's song, the power of music. So dance, art, music, painting, drawing, like anything creative stimulates the brain, it stimulates the mind. And I'm going to come over here, but then I'm going to give you a 3-minute lesson on the 6 pillars of brain health. Okay?
I have a question. I have a dear friend. We've been friends for many years. And one of our family members called me about last month and told me that they misdiagnosed her, saying that she had Parkinson's. And now it's not Parkinson's, it's dementia. So I would like to know if there's a link, where's that concerned? Because everybody was flabbergasted. They were even giving her medication for Parkinson's because she had the trembles and all of those type of things. And now they're saying that she does not, she was misdiagnosed and she doesn't have Parkinson's, she has dementia. So that's my question.
Thank you for that question. So, for those who didn't hear the question, she said, what's the correlation with Parkinson's and dementia because someone was misdiagnosed? They said she had Parkinson's, they were treating her for Parkinson's, but then said it was dementia. So, there is Parkinson's with dementia as one of those more than 100 types as well. And so, what happens with dementia is they exclude things, trying to find what it actually is. So until they get through all the processes and seeing where in your brain things are happening, they're kind of going by the symptoms of what you're experiencing. Maybe it's this. Okay, as we look at this, nope, it's not that. We go to the next thing. So real quick, dementia is not a disease. Dementia is an umbrella term that describes a bunch of symptoms. So that's why I said you want to ask, what is causing this dementia? So some of those symptoms are what we've been talking about: memory loss, loss of thought, logic, movement, speech. All of those things are symptoms under that umbrella. And so something is causing that to happen. And so when you go to see your doctor and they're trying to figure it out, they start ruling it out. They'll start asking you things like, well, are you depressed? Because a lot of dementia mimics depression and vice versa. And so they say, nope, it's not depression. Okay, let's go to the next thing. Oh, you have shakes. Maybe it's Parkinson's. Okay, nope, it's not that. So they try to exclude some things until they can figure out what's actually happening. And so, again, dementia is an umbrella term that just describes these symptoms and conditions. But what causes that dementia are those 100 or more types. And so that was probably going through a process of elimination. I have in my documentary a couple, the guy who was 40 when he was experiencing these symptoms. They diagnosed him with one thing. They were treating him for this one thing that they diagnosed him with, and it wasn't that. They were treating him for frontal temporal dementia. which you will see a lot of hallucinations, things like that with it. And so they were treating him for that, and it was only getting worse. So it wasn't until they officially diagnosed him with Alzheimer's and they started treating him for Alzheimer's that he started doing better. Like he still had it and it was still there, but it slowed the progression. That makes sense. Hopefully that answered your question. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, what I would like to know, what is the science behind that you say black people are more prone to get dementia twice as much as the white? What's the science behind that contribution?
So his question was, what's the science behind black people being twice as likely to develop some form of dementia? And then I'll come back and answer your question as well. So it's a lot of things. That's a good segue into the 6 pillars of brain health. So let's go there and I'll try to connect it to what you're saying. So a lot of cases, so these 6 pillars, most of the organizations like the Alzheimer's Foundation, Alzheimer's Association, the Lewy Body Association, they all put out these modifiable risk factors, meaning drugs, alcohol, high blood pressure, cholesterol, all of these things put you at higher risk for developing a dementia. So when I say 6 pillars of brain health, it kind of includes all of those things without going into some specific, because some will use, here are 10 modifiable risk factors, here are 12, here are 14. I just use these 6 and I'm gonna give them to you real quick. Brain stimulation. So are you actively developing your brain on a daily basis? Are you reading? Are you writing? Are you doing crossword puzzles? Are you doing brain games? Are you doing any of those things? You need to do that. So brain activity. Number 2, sleep. It's recommended that you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. I wish I did, because I'm trying, but I just can't seem to do it. But that's what's recommended. So still work on it. Like even if you haven't, like myself, I have not achieved that on a regular basis, but I'm trying to do it more often. So work on that. So brain stimulation, sleep, reducing stress. That's a big one for black people, right? We're triggered by stress in so many areas, whether it's financial, whether it's social, whether it's whatever it is, we're triggered by that. And so we're at greater risk of stress. Then you have socialization. A lot of times, especially as we get older, we tend to isolate ourselves. And then Bishop and I were talking the other day, a lot of people now, because of COVID, because of the hurricanes, they started watching church online, but they don't socialize anymore. And so that's also putting you at higher risk. Brain, sleep, stress, socialization, exercise. Thank you. So exercise is very important as well. I'm tracking my steps per day. It helps. If you do chair exercises, bed exercises, whatever you have to get that movement going, because it helps. So to connect it back to what you were asking, we are at higher risk because of all of those things and how it affects black people. But then also the other modifiable risk factors about controlling our cholesterol, what we eat. You know, what we eat is really not healthy for us most times. So we need to balance that with healthy food. So again, that puts us at higher risk. We don't take our medication. So now our cholesterol is getting higher. We're at risk of heart disease. We're diabetic. We're eating everything and not exercising, so it's only compounding it. So it increases our risk, and that's why it's that way. I'm sure there are some other reasons as well, but all of those things collectively have impacted us more than anybody else. And access to good quality care and information. So which is why we're doing the study to find out, are you getting this information? And then how do we get you the information if you're not? And so all of those things are important. Any other questions? Yes, repeat the 6. Okay, I'll have to do it how I trained myself to remember it. Number 1, brain activity. So you want to stimulate your brain. Crossword puzzles, reading, learning a new language, whatever. Exercise. Want to do as much as you can, however you can. Diet. You want to eat right. Did I even say that before? I might have skipped that. Yeah, you want to make sure the diet is right. Stress reduction or management. You want to make sure that you're doing everything you can to reduce that stress, whether it's have a night out by yourself, whether it's, eating your favorite food once in a while, because I know most of my favorite food I can't eat as often as I want to because I'm trying to do better. But reward yourself. Like, don't feel guilty if you want to eat 2 cupcakes. Just don't eat 2 cupcakes every day this week. Socialization. You want to make sure that you're being social. Call your friends, go for a walk together, come to church, come to the functions that are here at the church or anywhere in the community. You want to get out, you want to talk to people, you want to do all of those things. And then sleep. So real quickly with sleep, when you sleep those 7 to 9 hours, it's a natural process that flushes your brain. So those toxins that are building up in your brain are getting flushed. When you don't get that time, they're not being flushed, and now they're attacking different parts of your brain. Yes, ma'am. Ideally, they want you to do it straight, the 7 to 9 hours straight. However, there's a lot of research right now that says naps are very good. So get the naps in, but then still try to do the 7 to 9 if possible. And some of these things are challenges to us. So we're not saying that you have to be perfect. We're not saying that you have to do all of these things tomorrow or you're going to get dementia. That's not what we're saying. We're saying actively work on it. Actively try to improve in all of those areas. But here's the other thing. For those in the room who have been diagnosed with dementia or cognitive impairment or anything like that, you want to do the exact same thing now. So caregivers, your loved ones, you want to do the same thing for them. Make sure they're exercising. Make sure they're stimulated. Make sure they're trying stuff. Get puzzles. Let them play with puzzles. Try to figure it out. Different things like that. And there are tons of examples online that you can research to give you, this is what you can do with your loved one with music. This is what you can do with your loved one with art. This is what you can do for yourself as well. So wherever you are in the process as a caregiver or someone with dementia, you still want to be able to do all of those things. So obviously, if you have dementia, you shouldn't be smoking, you shouldn't be drinking, you shouldn't be, eating too many unhealthy foods because it's only going to speed up your process. And as a caregiver, because you're already burdened in a lot of areas, anytime you start dropping off on those things, it affects you even more. And we don't want you to be one of those statistics that you die before the person you're caring for. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Did you guys hear what she said? She said stay hydrated. Make sure you're fasting. Intermittent fasting is also good because, again, just like with your brain being cleansed when you sleep, your stomach, which is connected to everything as well, you want to make sure your stomach is being treated properly. Your heart, which is part of the exercise, because what's good for your heart is good for your brain, what's good for your brain is good for your heart. So all of these things are connected. And you don't want to just kind of like isolate one thing and say, oh, if I just get my steps in, I'm good. Like, no, but it helps. So you've reduced one risk factor. So here's a statistic that you can take away as well. There's a report from the Lancet Commission. And they said that 45% of all dementia cases could possibly be prevented if you address these modifiable risk factors. So if I say to you, almost half the chance of you getting it is gone if you work on these things. Doesn't guarantee it, of course, but you reduce the risk. And that's what's important.
What's the difference between dementia and
Yes. Okay, so, and this is a common question everywhere. What's the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's? Because people use them interchangeably. So dementia, again, is an umbrella term that describes symptoms. It's not a disease. Alzheimer's is a disease that causes dementia. Alzheimer's causes dementia. Dementia are just the symptoms, and they have to figure out what are these symptoms? Where are they coming from? What is causing them? Getting to the root of the problem. So that's where what happened is Alzheimer's is the most prevalent of all of the dementias. So I think it's somewhere like 65 to 70% of all dementia cases are caused by Alzheimer's. But there are all those others, Parkinson's with dementia. Yes.
I just want to add to what the young lady said about the hydration. My mom was 98. She passed on July 8th. And that's why I'm here. My wife tried to take the stress off of me by bringing me down here because I'm not like Pastor Collins, who's probably 35. I'm 73. So my mom was 98. And when she didn't drink water, she would lose her consciousness of who was in the room. She would see people in the room because she wasn't drinking water. And at that time, it would cause other things to happen in her body, bladder infections, and that went to the brain too, if you don't know. I hate water, but I drink it because I have to. But at the end of the day, stress and the lack of that does make you feel different. So I heard you when you gave your testimony and you said something about Jesus Christ. Don't forget him. I don't know how many in this room go to this church or don't go to church at all. But the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and everything else shall be added. That's a reality. I'm here to tell you, I saw a dead man wake up in church. God had, yes, a dead man stopped me from preaching. He died in church. And I stopped preaching and went down and prayed for him. He came back to life. A lady in the hospital, brain dead. She came back to life after I prayed for her. And the lady told me she was dead. I was leaving the hospital and the Holy Ghost said, go pray for that lady, because I wasn't going to, because the doctor said she was dead. But we need to recognize who created this. And we give him authority. My mother was supposed to be dead before she died at 98. Maybe it was 10 years ago, 12 years ago when she fell. And she had a stroke because they didn't notice the water on the back of her head. She had a lump and she had a stroke. And the doctor said, this is all she's going to be. She was laying there pretty much. She was just laying there. And my baby brother said, Bishop, pray for mom. And when I prayed for her, the doctor said after the surgery, I was able to do everything that I needed to do. And he cried standing there because he didn't believe in God. So I'm just saying, if somebody want to try God, he works. And at 73, I have evidence that he really works. And so you need to listen to Pastor Collins when he preaches, because I'm hoping he's not reading a comic book, but reading the word of God, because Jesus said, I am the real way. I am the real truth. I am the real life. So when you, and caregivers, you need to pray a lot. The young lady that said that she, how you dealing with your husband? Pray to God to give you the joy and the remembrance of those good days. And when you look upon him, no matter what he does, you just love on him. My mom would rip into my sisters, but when I walk in the room, she was a different person. I begged her to call me by my first name. She wouldn't. She called me Bishop all the time because she respected me. And I had a real mother. You know what I'm saying? They, I don't know, that she went out, but then she would come back. You get what I'm saying? But it was all God. If I could say that, it was all God. But this is the knowledge that we need to have. Some things we put on God that he don't want us to put on him, because there's some things that basic in the earth that is already set up for us to use. And that's what he's given us right now. He said, my people perish because of the lack of knowledge. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Bishop. Amen.
Let me add one positive thing after listening. We have all been talking about the challenges that we see with a loved one. I always counsel people by saying, let's look at what they still can do. Because it is in that we can stimulate and that we can get response that they love. Being confronted with our reaction of what they lose or what they lost is sometimes confronting for them, and that's why they react frustrated or aggressive. I got a phone call today from a caregiver for years, professional caregiver, for a loved one who was not her family, but she has to take care, and she do it already for 2 years. Simple question. He is like frustrated. Why? It was a person that the caregiver had with her, and she had taken him out of his comfort zone, brought him into that other space. She didn't realize that having that other person, nice person, that triggered irritation with the loved one. So these are small things, but a little phone call helped, because I could relate. I could say, look at what maybe is the cause, and then we can address it. So with that said, I give you one number, 9220. That's our hotline. Whoever wants answers, whoever wants a question, whoever wants a tip, the hotline is there, 9220. 9220. You can have Telcel or you can have Flow nowadays. It falls on that line, and we are there for you. And with looking at the bright side, it makes it lighter for us. Because let me give you this example. If I have my leg damaged, I can't walk that good. I will be limping, I will be doing that, but you still accept me. If I have damage in my brain, you don't see it, but you will see consequences of the damage. But I'm still the same person. And what a lot of us do, we still love that loved one. So with that said, there are limitations. Yes, we are aware of that. Don't let us too much freak it in, but look at what is still possible, what can still be done, and let us stimulate that. And then role play, as he called it, because he said, don't lie. I spoke with the loved one this morning through the phone. And he could laugh. Why? Because he remembered me as being one of the case managers, and I could relate based on things that we had in common, that he had shared, and that we could bring him out of that slump. So these are things that we do. Some call it role play. Some call it wisdom. Use wisdom. What is it that they still like? What is it that they still can relate to? Let us help them with that. And so don't give up, ma'am. We are there for you.
Amen. Thank you for that. So the Lord said, ask for the wisdom, right? We perish because of lack of knowledge. When you get the knowledge, get that wisdom, because the wisdom helps you apply the knowledge. So that's why all of this is connected. But of course, it starts with God. All right, we got about 5 minutes left. We're gonna do the raffle, and then I want to take a picture with everybody. Is that possible? Can we get a group picture? Yes.
Good night, everybody. I'm Nurse Overman from the White and Yellow Cross, and I'm here with my colleagues, Minerva and Micheline, and we recently graduated as dementia case managers, and thank you. And it's been a journey. We're learning, we're all in the process. We've spoken to Mr. Yesterin in the very beginning, and he gave us some tips and tools in the beginning. And now that we've graduated, we're trying to see how we can help. We're trying to figure out where the help is needed in St. Martin. And we're doing our best to get it out there. We have a support group also at the White and Yellow Cross. Every other month we get together. So before we leave, we would like to ask if there are persons that are interested or they need support, if they could leave their number and we'll add them to the group and we give their information. We have sessions. Next month is Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and we have a whole week of activities. We have a walkathon, we have workshops planned, we have radio programs the whole week, and we also have a karaoke night that we're gonna organize. So you guys look out for that, because as you said, music is very important. We went to Bonaire and they had a psychiatric daycare there, and it was built around music. Water. A certain song comes on and everybody knows that's there. They have to go drink water. A certain song comes on, it's time to eat. And all these things can help with persons with dementia that are frustrated, and the caregivers, of course, to make things a little easier. But these are the tips that we'll be giving during the workshops. During the course, we also held presentations at the community centers, and there was a real thirst, and people really needed this information. So please feel free to leave your name behind and your number, and we'll try to add you to the group and look out for the activities in September. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you guys for joining us in this and sharing the word. Because it's important. As I said, you have connections right here. You have hotlines, you have programming, you have resources. Please take advantage of them. They are there for you. All right, can we do the drawing?
Shirley?
Congratulations, Miss Shirley. You get the first pick. Which book would you like? Congratulations. All right, next up.
Kathy?
All right, 3 more to go. She left. Gotta be here to win. All right. Congratulations. I'll take care of it. All right, we have 2 left. Yeah, they're gonna be taken care of. Yeah, they're good. We got stuff in the works. All right. Congratulations. All right, one more. All right. Here you go. Congratulations. Any final questions before we wrap up? Anything? Anybody? Did you feel it was worth your time coming out? Awesome. Awesome. So now here is your responsibility. My responsibility was getting the information and sharing the information. So what do you think your responsibility is? You got the information, share the information. Because a lot of times, just like we felt, we didn't know or we didn't know what to do. Right? And so now you have something that you can share with somebody else. Because now we're going to spread this word. As I say with my organization, we're going to expose dementia so everybody will know. So you'll be able to explain the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's. You'll be able to tell them that there are over 100 types. You'll be able to tell them if they have a diagnosis, you want to ask, what type? So now you have information to empower yourself and your families and your community. So hopefully you will do that.
I do theater. I don't need a mic. Oh, we have audience online. If you did not register, and I'm glad the gentleman said that because you can have access to a lot of the materials that Chuck has available for you to continue to learn and for them to continue to support you. So if you haven't signed in, please make sure that you register, putting your name, your email address, as well as whether or not you are a caregiver. I know everybody on the island uses WhatsApp. If it is easier because you don't check your email much, I can go back there and we can take your phone number and then you can have access to Expose Dementia and Chuck and he to you to get information to you via WhatsApp as well. So when all is said and done, and please take these cupcakes home with you and any water that is left. Sir?
No, you can spread it out. Just don't eat them all tonight, but take them.
I won't tell you.
All right. Can we gather so I can get a picture? We can get a picture? Yeah, so I'm going to go there, but I need a little first.
Okay. On my iPhone.